Well, it was another record year for the rich around the world. There are now 1,226, which is a net gain from 16. But what was amazing to me is how that kind of masked the real story, which was huge volatility. There were 128 newcomers and 129 drop-offs. The reason for the net gain was that there were also 17 people who had fallen off the list in years past and are now back on. So while it looks like everything is going up, there's really a story of the have and have-nots.
It was really incredible how many people fell off the list in China and in Russia. And I think a lot of that had to do with the public fortunes that, as the stock markets fell in those two countries, they just, wiped out a whole bunch of Chinese.
I think, though, in the top 10, what's kind of interesting is the European stalwarts. Amancio Ortega of Inditex, which is the Zara brand, he moved up to the top 5 for the first time. Bernard Arnault of LVMH, Louis Vuitton. He's number 4 again. And then Stefan Persson from H&M moved into the top 10. There are no Indians, there are no Chinese, Ka-shing from Hong Kong.
I think what's interesting about the European fortunes is a lot of these people, like you said, like Ortega, it's the people who are selling apparel to Asia that have really gone up. Food and apparel, those are the sort of two kind of sectors that have really seen growth in Europe.
Or just retail in general to Asian markets.
Right, yeah.
Your L'Occitane guy
from
last year.
Well, he's not up a lot this year, but we do have, the new, for instance, one of our newcomers is the husband of Miuccia Prada. Prada went public in Hong Kong. So I think that's, we're seeing the trend of all these retail brands going public in Asia.
Well, it's just also interesting because Europe is not doing well at all, but the Europeans who have learned how to kind of sell European culture and European products, they're doing just fine.
Like the Pradas, like Renaud Geiger of L'Occitane, exactly.
But then you have cases like Chip Wilson from Lululemon.
Who's doing incredibly
He's totally different, but he's doing really well. Yeah.
Oh, I know. Well, what were we talking about with the price to sales? Or
Lululemon is
crazy.
Absolutely crazy. I think it's something like hovers around 9 times price to sales, 20 times price to earnings. Although, interestingly, Chip Wilson has now stepped down from any executive role. I think he's, early 50s.
He's been selling a lot of shares.
He has, and he's handed over the reins. So he'll still be raking in money, but he's not really making many executive
But it is really
anymore.
fun to see these individual billionaires who kind of have a cult following.
Yeah.
So Mark Zuckerberg is worth $17.5 billion. That's up $4 billion from last year, but that is a really conservative number. We did not value him based on the $100 billion that analysts are predicting. What do you think about that decision? And, we had a lot of internal discussions about, was that the right thing to do?
I think it's the right call. I mean, conservative call is probably the best call with this kind of thing. It's better to look.
I mean, we really have no idea. Everybody's kind of so excited. But, Zynga, when that went public, that really, fell off a precipice initially.
Right, and Groupon. I think you have to be careful with these crazy analyst predictions.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's unlikely that Facebook's going to fall off a cliff when it goes public. But I think I think by keeping him at a conservative valuation because the IPO has not happened yet, we're keeping in. This is what we do all the time. This is what we did with Zynga. This is what we did with Groupon. Before those IPOs happened, we used the last institutional round to help value those guys.
So who wants to bet that he's in the top 10 next year? What do we think?
It depends on
he's
the ad market.
He's not that far, right?
Yeah.
He's not too far.
I know, and they've been really making a lot of moves.
He's not in the top 20 yet. So maybe we should set it lower and say maybe
he's higher than Michael Dell and Steve Ballmer, these old sort of tech titans. So I don't know. I think he could be close. Our youngest self-made female billionaire in the world right now is Sara Blakely of Spanx, and she's one of our 4 Billionaires covers. She turned 41 on February 27th.
Is she the youngest self-made? I thought there was a Chinese, but
self-made in the world, yes. There's one woman who's a couple of weeks older in China and a couple in Korea who are younger but inherited their fortune.
Right.
And she's one who built from scratch a shapewear empire. She invested when she was my age, 29. She invested $5 grand, and at 41 she's worth $1 billion. So she's a real kind of one of those sort of all-American success stories.
Well, it's just amazing because there are just so few women on the list and so few self-made.
Well, one is now the result of the passing of a cult hero, Steve Jobs.
She's the
His widow, Laureen, is now on the Billionaires list.
What do you think is your biggest takeaway from this year's list, Claire?
I think I've been really interested to see that with all the talk about the BRIC countries and where they're going, only Brazil added a ton of fortunes to the list.
That's a great point.
That was my main takeaway, and I think that they're still obviously the country to watch. And we've got, you know, these big names like Ike Batista, but there's going to be people climbing the ranks, and that we shouldn't just be sort of looking at China and India for the growing fortunes in the coming few years.
Excellent point, though. Don't count China and Russia and India out.
Yeah, I mean,
I
their
think
stock
they're
markets,
just
they could turn around, and
right.
we could see the volatility go the other way next year. We could see all those Chinese come back on the list.
certainly always keeps it interesting.
Yeah.